What's the crack?
All right. Welcome to the Paddy and The Yank podcast. Paddy, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Yank. I'm doing just fine. This is episode 17.
Thank you for clarifying. 17. Goddamn, we're getting up there.
I know, usually you do the intro with the number, but
I
today
can't remember
said,
the number anymore. We've done so many. I'm confused, lost.
Well, 17 has a connection to Ireland because 17 of March is St. Patrick's Day, right?
I did not know that. March 17th is St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, or St. Paddy's Day, or sorry, Paddy's Day, or St. Patty's Day as it's...
So it's your holiday. It's a whole holiday for Paddy.
Yeah. I should be celebrated next Paddy's Day, right?
I need a Saint Yank Day.
You got... You've got to celebrate me next St. Paddy's Day. Next Paddy's Day, you got to celebrate me.
It's in March? You say March 17th?
Yeah, March 17th every year is Paddy's Day, St. Patrick's Day.
So St. Patrick must have been a Pisces like myself because my birthday is February 20th.
Really?
So March 17th, well, I think it's the 20th to the 20th roughly, but it changes a little bit. But I'm the first day of Pisces.
What's Pisces, the two fish?
Yes.
What does that mean?
The astrological sign. It means we go with the flow, baby. No, I think it is like a flow thing, you know, like going with the flow in the ocean, dreamy, not grounded in reality, not good with money, always dreaming up huge fantasies, you know, but a lot of times they're not grounded in reality.
I'm a Gemini. Well, Gemini's the two twins, isn't it?
I don't know. I have no idea what a Gemini is.
I don't know either.
What's
I don't know anything about these star signs. I'm a Gemini, you're a Pisces.
Someone read mine to me last night, and they were like, emotionally unstable and gets really caught up and gets offended easily.
Check again.
I can't remember any of the good things she said. I only remember the bad. That's the negativity bias. Remember I was telling you about the negativity bias? And that's why I do the gratitude journaling to reshape that negativity bias into a positivity bias.
Well, on a positive note, I'm excited about today's podcast.
Dude, today's super special.
We got our very first guest on the podcast.
Getting our cherry popped.
Yeah, our first interview, and it is none other than longtime podcast collaborator, Ninja Ned.
Yeah.
What it is, my boys. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you. Yeah. How are you feeling? I'm observing that you're feeling fine, but I got to ask.
Oh, I'm good. I'm finding my comfort. I noticed you were just doing the same thing. And these chairs, you always have to find, where's my ass?
Yeah, I got to wiggle your ass like a dog, you know, when they do a couple circles before they finally sit
I'm
down.
Smelling my butt a little bit, smelling Ninja Ned's butt a little bit. You're smelling good.
Well,
I don't think you've showered in a couple days, and that's the kind of energy I want in here.
I wanted to do right by you, Yank. I do right by my Yank.
Fuck yeah, it's fucking awesome that you're here. I was telling you earlier, every Saturday is sort of like a dream state. You know, you kind of wake up, sometimes didn't sleep that well, and you come into the studio with these nice lights and the darkness and the blue lights, and then you just feel good.
Am I the darkness?
You're the light.
The darkness in the corner.
Paddy
Paddy sitting over here in the
baby.
corner, sipping on some tequila.
Well, I've watched it from afar for a long time. Like, what is this alluring realm that these boys are into? And it's nice to be in the fold for a change. You guys got to let me hang out with you.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for coming down.
It's
and,
like a
I'm loving it so far.
Right?
Yeah, we've appreciated all your input to the podcast so far, your music and your videos, which have been actually pretty popular on what's it called, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Your videos, your ice bath one especially, that was a pretty big hit.
Fuck! Yeah, it just seemed like the right thing to say at the time.
Oh, I loved it. I watched it again this morning. I laughed so hard.
Yeah, I think I lose it after that. That's when I start laughing too. But yeah, no, you guys are doing creative, fun stuff, and hey, I like to do that stuff too. So it's like maybe I'm just a little bit too excited about my own stuff too. I'm like, you guys, you can use my music on your show. Can I do something for you? You know?
No, it's great. It adds a lot to our show, you know, and we're appreciating it. And, you know, we like to add original music. At the end of each podcast now, we add an original song from... We've got a few different musicians actually lined up.
I heard the next one's extremely talented. It might be the best we've ever had.
Well, today's
you got to be yanking my chain.
The big YANK.
Oh, that was on the last episode.
Oh, shit.
That was on the Gacy episode. So anybody that listened to
I've clearly had too much tequila today.
Anybody that listened to the last episode we done on serial killers, I forgot to give credit to the musician who provided the music at the end of the podcast, and it was none other than the Yank himself.
Yeah, baby.
Composed by the Yank. So cheers
And
to that, Yank. That was a good tune.
I want to congratulate anybody that survived the serial killer podcast. Ha!
Yeah.
Punt accidental. Because that podcast was difficult for me and Paddy to get through. We watched the Gacy documentary that whole week, and then Paddy dove into some horrible
history of
research.
serial killers, yeah.
Yeah, and I think when that podcast ended, we were both like, man, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah, I felt weird. It's
usually,
weird talking about that.
usually we feel fresh and toasty
feel
and
good.
have fun, and that was kind of a hard podcast to get through.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I think I've heard everyone so far, but I didn't hear that one, and I'm kind of glad now.
It hasn't been released yet.
Yeah.
It's cool. You know what? My
But
favorite
by the time
thing,
you guys are listening to this, it will have been released, and you'll all have listened to it.
yeah, my favorite thing about that podcast was me exploring my own, the barbarian in myself. Because if you remember, I said some like I get pleasure sometimes from making my kids cry.
Yes, I remember. How could I forget? I had to edit that shit.
But it's like learning how to. Did you edit that out?
No.
Oh, I was saying, can you edit what I just said out too?
No.
No young pleasure barbarian. That's going nowhere.
I think that was the best takeaway from the serial killers. Is like that's the difference between us and them is that we learn how to control those urges, and they cannot control those urges.
Yeah, very true. Ned, I want to ask you a couple of questions.
About controlling my urges. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Actually, no.
No, back
You
up.
can tell us
I just
about
want-
an urge that
I just
you've
felt it.
been controlling.
I was just trying to lube the transition. That's all. Oh,
First of all, I'd like to ask you, or let our listeners know, where
what's
you are
up?
from in America.
Just outside of Chicago, Illinois, little tiny town
Ah,
called. I don't know how much I
Chicago.
should dox myself, but everyone kind of knows who I am. So
Wait,
it's not
that's
a
where
big deal.
Gacy's from, right?
Was
Yeah.
Gacy from Chicago, yeah?
I don't know. Let's not ever bring him up again.
Chicago is full of gangsters, huh? That's where Al Capone was from, right?
Yeah. Ooh, if you're getting into Chicago history, I don't have much to say, but gangsters indeed. You want to watch yourself when you're out there. Be safe. Don't go to the wrong neighborhood.
One of my partners back in the day, he lived in Chicago, and I would go stay with him. And his wife's father was like one of the only real deal, legit like gangsters I've ever met. Like old school, like
yeah.
reminded you of like Italian mafia type stuff. You know, things you don't generally come across.
That's a stereotype.
Yeah, and then I had my first Chicago style pizza.
Oh,
Where-
how was that?
Oh my god, so
All right.
good.
Oh, this will be a good one for to ask
Paddy.
Paddy here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's your take of pizzas from different regions of America, if you know at all, or like what do you look for in a perfect pizza? I mean, we'll keep this brief. I know we're not supposed
That's
to
very
ramble.
interesting.
But I
We
want to
talked
ask you.
about pizza on
We
the last
talked about
podcast.
pizza on the last pod. No,
Whoa.
it's great. It's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, okay, well-
okay. I'll give you the breakdown of. In Ireland, we had like Domino's. We had, I think, a place called 4-Star Pizza, and we also had Papa John's. And then you had, I don't know, other kinds of ones, more expensive ones from Italian restaurants that I would never have eaten growing up.
But did you have local pizza?
Don't remember. We used to always, when I lived in the city, I used to live in Galway City. We would order like Domino's or 4-Star Pizza. But what we would do is they'd give you coupons. And like they could be out of date by forever. We'd like, yeah, we've got coupons. We'd know what a certain coupon would have been. Like we would have went to someone's house and like a party and it's like, oh, they got coupons for get one free. You just gotta tell them this is the code. And then we'd remember and be like, yeah, we got these coupons. Yeah, it says we get 2 free pizzas and wings and whatever. And then the guy would come to the door and be like, yeah, thanks. Like, where's the coupons? We don't have a coupon. What are you talking about, coupon?
Ninja Ned, you know something I've learned about
What a
Paddy
psych.
after all these podcasts is how scandalous Irish people are. They're always coming up with schemes, man, ways to trick the game, ways to play individuals,
That, you know
but
what?
with a sense of humor, so it's in a comical way. I love it.
My scruples wouldn't allow me to short someone on a pizza with an imaginary coupon. I never imagined such a thing.
And that's where, and I know I interrupted, but that's where you guys are the total opposite.
Yeah.
And Ninja Ned in that aspect is the opposite from me as well. And I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you can edit it out. Me and Paddy are relatively emotionally unstable. You know, we're all over the place like
Yeah.
ping pong balls.
Well, I'll tell you a bit about myself. I think I can't remember if it was before or after the cut, but you were talking about the astrological zodiac signs and how you're a water boy,
Zodiac.
Pisces. Zodiac.
What's a zodiac?
I'm a Lestrada, whatever symbol that
You're
is.
Lastrada.
You're
You
a
sound
Lastrada.
Mexican.
Yeah, no, I'm a Cancer myself, and I'm also a water boy. So sometimes they say the water, it's more easily moved around. So sometimes you overreact or get emotional, really. But I actually don't really believe too much in the zodiac.
I was just going to ask you, do you believe in any of that star sign
No,
stuff?
actually, no. You know what? Chinese zodiac. I'm a dragon. I think dragons are really fucking rad. They're like they're the only animal that doesn't really exist. It's a composite animal of other animals. It has features from all sorts of different animals. So it's
I'm sorry. Composite means combined.
yeah, definitely. I think that's a fine way to say it.
I was just asking because I knew Paddy didn't know the word.
I knew what he was fucking...
You didn't know the
No,
word.
I knew exactly what he was talking about, you fucking idiot.
Oh, did I say composite? I meant composted. It's a composted animal. It's slightly
You meant it's got different
deteriorated.
parts from different animals, but it's not
Yeah.
really an animal.
Oh, like a chimera.
I suppose of an Asian
A
origin.
fuck's
chimera
chimera?
is a Greek animal that was like a woman's head, half lion. I'm getting it all wrong, but I just
Sounds like my ex.
sounds like my current. I'm joking. She just did a bunch of good photography. Thank you very much, baby.
Oh, she's a sweetheart. She's the best.
Yeah, but you are one of the most mentally sound and centered individuals I've ever met.
Well, that's a distinction.
Just back
I'll
up
take it.
a
I'll
little.
just say thank you.
You were talking about dragons. You were
Oh,
about to
my
explain what a
bad.
dragon
Oh
is.
no, actually. Oh,
Sorry.
All right, here's how we resolve this. Dragons are real fucking cool, and I'm happy to be a dragon.
So you were saying a dragon is a combination of different
Oh
animals.
yeah, well I think it's cool because it's probably the most metaphysical animal of them all, right? Like it's it doesn't really exist. It can fly, it can weave. So I don't know. I always thought that was really neat. And yet, but I mean, like I'm not gonna knock anyone's Chinese zodiac, but if you're like a rat or a pig, it's kind of a bummer, right? I mean, it's like,
Yeah, I agree.
it's like, well, you see, the rat has these honorable traits, and it's like, sorry, bro, you're still a rat, you know?
Okay, do you know the origins of a dragon? Like which civilization or which?
Oh, well, that's a whole other
Who came up with a
podcast.
dragon?
I think actually a lot of most civilizations, early civilizations, have stories of like snakes and reptiles and even reptile people. If you want to talk about David Icke conspiracy stuff,
reptilians.
but I think if you want to get to the core of it, it's probably fear of serpents as like primates. You know, serpents are like very terrifying and a real threat. So I think we're hardwired to be afraid of like scaly, slithery, long, and like a dragon is just a really pimp snake, right?
That can breathe fire and fly.
Yeah.
Scary concept.
So all cultures kind of have something like that. Like what's evil and
Okay.
scary, and it's just
All right.
like if you reach into the primordial part of your mind of like what's terrifying, it would be something like a pimp snake.
Because I would always associate dragons with China or with Asia. Let's say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, there are different representations in different cultures, I suppose. But I think the Asian dragons are so beautiful, man. The way they weave through the sky. You know, have you ever seen a Chinese dragon?
Because there's a lot of dragon symbolism over here in Taiwan, especially as well. Like you see the temples here. A lot of the times on the roofs of the temples, at the corners, they're dragons. The four corners of the temples here, a lot of the times they're a dragon, or the top of the temple has a dragon as well.
Yeah. Admittedly, I don't really know the significance of that, but I think it's beautiful and pretty rad too. But yeah,
Like-
dragons, man.
Anywhere I've been in the world, Taiwan has to have the most temples I've ever seen.
A dragon's also known as a flying serpent. They were described as early as the age of the ancient Greeks and Sumerians.
See, early
That's-
stuff,
that's
way
going
back.
In the
Man.
ancient world, they took the form of enormous serpents, ready to crush with their coils and kill with their venomous breath.
It's fucking metal.
Venomous breath.
Yeah.
Like
That changed when Christianity spread across the world. Dragons took on a decidedly sinister interpretation and came to represent Satan.
Them damn Christians always got
They
to put a
fucking
always
ruin
gotta put a dark
everything,
cloud
right?
on everything, huh?
Well, if they think it's bad, then I think it's pretty cool. You know?
They did the same thing to Wicca and paganism, right? I think those were both relatively beautiful. Well, still are, right? They didn't die. Beautiful forms of spirituality.
Yeah, but I mean, Christianity kind of just absorbed and like took the momentum of any kind of pagan or Wiccan traditions, right? It's just kind of like, oh, it's actually because of Jesus, but
Christianity's kind of like Kim Jong-un.
How dare you speak about the supreme leader in such a way?
oh no.
I'm sorry to anybody from North Korea. That's
Oh,
never
I
that's
wasn't
never
even-
going to listen to this podcast.
I wasn't
as
thinking
long as they're in
about...
North Korea.
Yeah. Oh, whatever.
No, it was
Good luck to
funny.
you guys.
It
You know,
was a jock. He's a good jock.
You guys.
Kim Jong-un's a jock.
No, nigga, Patty's.
Okay, let's clarify something real
didn't-
quick.
I didn't
in
say-
Chinese, the way you
Oh.
say that is nega.
And I sometimes speak some Chinese, so
Yeah, you're fluent. Well, more
Nah, not
fluent than
fluent,
me,
but, yeah.
but extremely
Speak a bit.
well off.
basically, if you need a filler, you just sit there and stutter and go that
So say it in Chinese.
until you think of the thing. So that in Chinese is nigga, gang cai de nigga, just nigga.
Yeah, and it's very common. And maybe if you move to Taiwan to teach English, your first year, you're very like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, it's the of Chinese.
Yeah, it's a filler for sure.
Yeah.
So you're originally from Chicago.
Outside of Chicago, I'll just put it this way. Actually, there's two bigger cities in northern Illinois, obviously Chicago being one, and then Rockford is a couple hours westward of there. So I'm right in between Chicago and Rockford, northern Illinois.
cool.
Pretty close to the Wisconsin border.
Yeah. And what brought you to Asia? Like, what brought you to
My whole life. No, the Ninja Turtles in short. Like,
Really?
Because when I was a kid, there was only like two things I really fucking loved, and that was Batman and Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Ninja Turtles are fucking karate, martial arts, ninjas. So as a kid, I was like, anything Asian, anything martial arts is totally cool. So I think pretended to do martial arts for the longest time, but then I was probably about 12 years old when I started doing Taekwondo, and did that from 12 to 16, got a black belt, did some more Korean martial arts in college, and then eventually found Chinese martial arts. I'm trying to speed through this. I don't want to bore everyone
this
too
is
much,
cool.
but
I'm very
Take your
interested.
time. This is what we want to know.
all right, this is the condensed answer. So college rolls around, I find a Chinese martial arts group, and I'm like, this kung fu stuff is crazy. Like really different than other martial arts I had done. Actually, only 2 before that, anyhow.
Right.
But the flavor, everything about it, I loved it. So at the time, I was going for an art degree. I was gonna do graphic design. I was like, fuck this. I don't want to use a computer all goddamn day.
Yep.
So I went to a general art BA where you get to study a bunch of things, but get good at nothing really. But along with that, I was supposed to study a language. I'm like, if I'm doing this Chinese martial arts, it'd be cool to learn a little bit of Chinese. So I studied Mandarin for 2 years in university. And after I graduated, I'm like, I'm not going to do anything in art. Like what?
Okay.
Art. I mean, artists starve anywhere. I'm like, I like art, but I don't like starving.
It's a pity, isn't it? It's a pity that that's the way it is nowadays. Back in the ancient times, like artists were considered, they were highly regarded. They were well paid. They were like rock stars back in the day. Because before they had photography and stuff like that, any depictions were done through art of people, of places. So artists were highly regarded. And like they had patrons everywhere that would just pay tons of money.
That's the thing, to get a patron and get a commission. That would have been the life back then. Yeah, then you would be like a rock
Wait,
star.
so I was pretty perplexed when you first told me Patreon. The Patreon pages, and now you guys are using the word Patreon in kind of a different text, right?
I'm sure that's an
Context.
intentional naming of the thing. I think there's
100%.
that linguistic link.
I'm
there.
sorry. So where did the word Patreon originate?
Okay, well, I don't know where the word Patreon or a patron or a patron of the arts was somebody back in, let's say, ancient times. Let's say back in the times of Da Vinci or any of these great artists, and what they would do is they would commission these guys to do paintings for them, like family portraits, all this. Imagine, back then, there was no photography, there was no cameras, no video cameras, nothing. So how did you get a picture of your family? So wealthy, rich people would hire an
commission,
artist.
Hire a Patreon?
Yeah.
Or the patron would hire them.
Yes,
the
patron
is the hirer.
the hirer.
The patron is the provider.
Yeah, provider of the work.
Provider of the money, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm giving you work and money to do the work.
So the patron is the person who hires the artist.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Because we're trying to get people to give us money through the Patreon page, and we're providing the work.
That's right, everybody that's listening. If you want to fucking support this podcast, please do. You can go to, what is it, Paddy and The Yank Patreon?
Yeah.
Okay, go to Paddy and The Yank Patreon.
I don't know, actually.
And get us a cup of tea.
Paddy and The Yank
Oh,
podcast.
you guys will link it up later.
We'll put it in the notes. We'll put it on the IG. We'll put it everywhere.
Cool.
Please, if you can. I don't want to sound desperate. I kind of like what Blind Boy said, though.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm doing this because I love it.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about this.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of time to produce this podcast.
It does. I mean, it takes me 5 days of research and taking notes, transcribing my notes. So it is a lot of work. And all Blind Boy asks for is a cup of coffee. I will tell you, I have a cup of coffee before or during every podcast.
Yeah, I'll take a cup of tea.
So if you guys can afford a cup of coffee for me, a cup of tea for Paddy, or a cup of
kombucha,
a cup of love.
A cup of love for
Cup of
Ninja
love for
Ned.
Ned.
Then
Please support the podcast.
Throw it in there, support the podcast, and
Cheers.
it's going to help us take it to the next level.
Nice one. So,
Get it,
anyways,
boys.
as you were saying, Ned, back to your story.
That was like an ad.
You studied.
That
Yeah, it was.
I liked it. I felt it, man. I felt that ad. I was nodding, closed my
Felt
eyes.
that ad. Oh, give me some more ad. Give me some more ad.
I want some ad.
Single teardrop down my cheek.
We're never going to get female listeners.
So as you were saying, you got an art degree, but you've been studying martial arts. You have a black belt in Taekwondo at this stage, and then you were introduced to Chinese martial arts, and you fell in love with it. You also said you studied Mandarin. What was your level of Mandarin before you went to China?
Oh, I mean, imagine any language that's dramatically different from English and then
different.
only kind of having a surface level exposure for 2 years. It's going to be like, very minimal, not even conversational, not even beginner conversational. But right off the bat, when I initially rocked up in China, it was a lot of fun just having those things that even if you're not slaying it and killing it, you have these little tools to try out. And you're just having such a laugh. Like I remember, this is skipping a couple steps. I'll take some details
Quick
out.
question. When did you move to China?
This would have been in the summer of 2012, right after I graduated.
Okay, so you moved straight. Did you move to China by yourself?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, definitely. I was
That took a lot of balls.
I think a lot of times in life we kind of want something that's going to challenge our balls, right? Like sometimes you're looking for that big step, and to me it only seemed like the next natural thing to do because I wasn't going to stick around and get some shit job that wasn't really going to provide a comfortable life, and not even about comfort, but something else was out there. You know, I want to see what's going on in the world. So yeah, it just made sense to try China then, because, you know, I'm interested in learning the language. Maybe I can find martial arts out there at the time. And so yeah, that was the big appeal, and just something totally new and crazy. And once I decided to do it for sure, because if you have a big decision like that, you might hem and haw for a while. Yes. But eventually when I accepted I was going, it was just, I couldn't wait. I was watching videos about it, like dreaming about it. Yeah. I mean, you guys must have had similar experiences yourself being over here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the first place I went to was Canada for 3 years, and it was the same thing. I just made the decision one day, came back, I was like, I'm moving to Canada. I told my cousin, he was washing the dishes, and he just turned around and goes, all right, I'll go as well. Let's go. We didn't.
No way.
That was literally it.
Easy.
Just got the idea one day and was like, let's just fucking go. Let's fuck Ireland. I'm sick of this place. At the time, a lot of shit was going down at that time, and I was like, I want to get out of here. Let's go. And that was it. We just went.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's kind of what led me to leave too.
It's crazy, you know. And for anybody that's listening, if you feel like you want to make a move, I don't have to say this to Irish people. We're notoriously famous for emigrating, for leaving our home country.
But in that way, without you guys, America would have never came to be America.
They say, these are the hands that built America.
Those are also the hands that built and sunk the fucking Titanic.
You keep sticking me on that every time.
I just think you guys got something against the poor whites.
Yank throwing shade.
He loves getting me on that Titanic now, but I gotta take it. I mean, the unsinkable ship that sank on its first voyage.
Well, I mean,
built in Ireland.
Was that mismanagement more than anything? I don't think it was bad technology. I mean, I don't know if there's a conspiracy or anything.
I just think it was
but
an
I think
iceberg that had a problem with ships.
Yeah. Wasn't I mean,
was the captain Irish?
I don't think so.
And we can't blame it on drunk driving.
Drunk sailing. So what was it? Oh, so anyways, so you went to China in 2012. Where did you go in China? Where was the first city you landed in? And why did you pick that city?
Okay, well, I kind of got set up with it's a good thing to have. It's like an agency that will bring you in. They'll teach you how to teach English if you've never done it before. Hey, if you speak English, you can teach it. So we'll teach you how to teach it. That was in, I'm getting my provinces mixed up, but I won't even say the province. This is Yangshuo, close to Guilin in China. It was a pretty sweet setup because there's a bunch of foreigners that come in at the same time. So even though you're on your own, you're meeting a bunch of people who are doing the same thing. They teach you how to teach. You rock out in this beautiful city in southern China. It's got these gumdrop karst mountains. I'll post a link later. And but anyways, have the orientation there. And after a couple weeks, they're like, okay, now that you're done, we're going to ship you off somewhere in China. And most of you don't know where you're going. It's like, yeah, sounds good, you know? Yeah.
That's
so then they shipped me off to Hunan province, China, which is like south central China. And then I was in a small city on the north of the Hunan province, close to Hubei. And it was called Lixian. I taught English there for 1 year. And to answer your question, I was in Hunan province for 1 year.
Whereabouts is that North China?
No, southern China in the center. So southern central
Guangzhou?
China. It's probably one province over from Guangzhou and another one in between Guangzou and Hunan. But let's bust out the map and have a look here.
It's probably pretty hard for some of the listeners to imagine. But Guangzhou, I've heard of Guangzhou. It's kind of on the south coast,
yeah,
right?
because there's like Guangdong, which is like the Canton, so from Cantonese. So like that's southern Chinese culture is Guangzhou and Guangdong.
Okay. What did you find was the biggest culture shock for you when you went to China? I mean, you just left America. You're a good old wholesome American boy like the Yank is over here. What was the first thing that stood out to you? Like, whoa, I'm in Asia. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put it very bluntly, and it's very funny. The fucking stink, but it was like,
oh no,
it was the stink and the funk. No, I'm not trying to get us in trouble, but it was also like
I know what you're talking about.
this mad new world where a new set of rules applied, and the smell was different, the air was different. It was just nuts, and it wasn't overwhelming. I think for a young guy like myself at the time, it was very exciting.
Yep.
And I was like, "Whoa, this is different." I'm like, and everything's so dirty and dingy, but it's cool, and everyone just settles in it. I'm like, oh, this, it's like, I don't know, it was like some dirty funk that you sink into or something, It was pretty cool. So at the time, I was just stunned about everything different that smelled different, looked different, tasted different. So yeah, that was my initial kind of feeling.
I felt the same thing, and I think the Yank agrees with me on this. It's like being in a different world. Like, you come outside your door here, even every day. I've been, let's say, on and off in Taiwan for 5 years now, and it's like over 5 years, and I still get that sensation when I walk outside my door, like, I'm in fucking Asia. Like, because you see the temples everywhere. It's just, you get that feeling. And I grew up watching Bruce Lee movies, and I always had this image of Asia in my mind. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that's like the other side of the world, which it literally is from Ireland and America, right?
For me, the big reminder is just seeing mountains every day, because from the Midwest myself, Yank, you're relatively Midwest?
Yes, all flat cornfields, man.
Yeah, okay, very very same here. So
Yeah.
every day that I see the mountains here, I'm just pumped. It feels like it's another one of those reminders. Even though it's not Asia specific,
Yep.
it lets me know where I am and like
I feel
puts
like-
me in that headspace.
I feel a little different. Like I feel extremely desensitized, and like this is home. I've accepted it, and everything seems pretty normal.
Yeah.
But then when I talk to my mom and I see the background on the video chat, I'm like, oh, I do not miss that. And like the dead trees during winter, the gray skies, like that.
They're not
shit
dead;
was-
they're sleeping.
So you were in the south of China and you started training in martial arts there again, right? You hooked up with a martial arts teacher in China?
Yeah, eventually. It's really funny though because anyone who's maybe gone to China to train, perhaps kind of sometimes might, I don't want to say be disappointed, but they might find something they're not looking for. And so initially, my harebrained scheme, after not seeing anything blatantly martial arts, after I found out that indeed nobody was not kung fu fighting everywhere, as you might believe, so I was like, I know what I got to do. These guys train early in the park. So I was like, I got to wake up at 5:30 one morning, walk to the park, and just like stroll around. This morning I woke up, it was really bad air pollution and atmospherically just hazy, kind of drizzling. It was like both. You couldn't really tell. Is it haze or is this pollution? It was both.
I go pollution.
Yeah, that's the safest bet.
Yeah.
So I go down to this park. I'm like, all right, where are the kung fu guys? But like the visibility is so low. It's so epic. It's like walking through a dream. And I'm like, around this corner, there's going to be a group practicing here. Maybe even some people doing Tai Chi here. And eventually I hear,
What the hell?
and I'm like,
It was Rocky.
Oh, Rocky.
Slow. It was the best slow. Adrian, come over here. Sorry, go on.
Well, I don't have to finish telling the story now. That's what it was. No. Shit. Okay. So I'm like, okay, this sounds like some martial arts activity. Maybe I'm on the precipice of finding like the thing. And I walk closer to it, and then slowly down the path, out of the haze, some old guy walking down the path, swinging his arms, just clapping his arms in front of his chest and going, I'm like, oh, this is like what elderly people do. They just walk around the park screaming and like moving in weird ways. And I think they do that here in Taiwan too. Sometimes,
Definitely, they
yeah,
definitely
a
do
little
that
bit of that.
Very common here in Taiwan. In all the parks, they're full of old people that do Tai Chi, that dance together.
Just throwing their arms around
and slapping their legs, slapping their bodies. I think it's really great. Like I love seeing it. I walked through the park this morning on the way to the gym, and I seen like every different corner of the park there was groups of old people doing Tai Chi and dancing to music, and I'm like, what a great way to see out your days.
You
you know
said
what I mean?
that before because
Yeah.
you don't think people in Ireland do that, right?
I don't. I know people in
No.
Ireland don't go to the park and do Tai Chi and stuff like that. I don't think they have such a social outlet as they have here in Taiwan. Partially based probably through we have individualism in the West and we have collectivism here in the East. And everybody here, they really look after their elders. Where in Ireland, it's not the same. There's not the same hierarchy in a family as there is here in Asia. So I think it's great. I love seeing the old people here in the parks. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. What a way to see out your days. So yeah, so you went through the park and you seen some guy coming out of the mist, slapping himself and screaming like Sylvester Stallone and Rocky. What happened from there?
All right, so needless to say, I didn't find the martial arts master I was looking for that day. But so I went home. And I think a couple days or a week go by, and then the art teacher. I was living on campus at this vocational high school for kids that were not going to go into university, but they were just going to go straight into some kind of field, like mechanics.
Chinese kids.
Yeah. So they're like high school kids, not doing normal high school because they're going into their jobs right after this.
Like a vocational school.
Yeah.
We have that back home too, right?
Yeah, of sorts, I suppose, yeah. But this was funny is like the kids lived on campus and they're just like, it was a madhouse. Maybe we'll get into some of the stories, but I had a lot of fun there. I like teaching, but I lived on campus at the time, and right next to my apartment on campus, there was like basically just this garage that was the art studio, and the art teacher there was like, I know a guy who teaches Tai Chi. I want to bring you. So then I did Chen style Tai Chi for maybe about 6-7 months. I didn't get a ton out of it, but the teacher was stoked to have like a foreign student. So he's like,
Okay.
it sounds terrible. I'm gonna say like he's like, let me take my white monkey to perform. So like we'd go to like competitions or displays or something. Actually, I only did 1 or 2 like demonstrations. It would have been.
Okay.
And it was fun. One time we went to this bigger city, and afterwards, like me still not really being able to speak Chinese at the time, this newspaper was like, "Hey, foreign friend, how you doing Tai Chi out here?" It was a big
Really?
laugh. Yeah. It was. And then
The Chinese newspaper interviewed you.
Yeah, and
awesome.
yeah, but if you're in a smaller city with not a ton of foreigners, I think that's pretty easy to have happen. Like in Shanghai, like tons of foreigners, so maybe you wouldn't stand out as much. But in other places, not a lot of foreigners, especially if like they're doing something that they love. They're like, look, even the foreigners appreciate our culture.
Yeah.
You know, they like that.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
yeah.
I want to ask you a question about Tai Chi.
Sure.
Like, what is Tai Chi? Basically, what is Tai Chi? Because Tai Chi is not a fighting martial art, right?
Damn, I'm so glad you didn't ask me that question.
It's more about movement, right?
Okay, no, yes and no, and let me tell you why. Originally, the founder of martial arts, the founder of fucking Tai Chi, I forget his name, but he was quite the badass. It was something. Let's pretend his name was Yang.
Okay.
He rode around on a horse with a banner that said "The Unbeatable Yang," and he would just anyone who wanted to step up, he would just smoke them. And I don't know what his style looked like at the time, but he was one of the original OGs. And basically, it was a fighting art and still can be. But the principle of it is that you're training relaxed with good shape and good form, and that you can do it naturally. So if you can train it slow and comfortably, you find the good shape that your body should be in. And then eventually, when you go to whoop ass, you're not rigid, you're not stuck. It's a smooth, comfortable movement. So like fighting for you feels very comfortable,
So it's very
natural,
smooth and very flowy.
Yeah, but a lot of people, but why I said yes is because a lot of people treat it that way nowadays, which is okay. Just some good, comfortable, low-impact movement on your body. And you can still get some good martial arts application out of it. But I suppose that would be who your teacher is and if they know where the secret sauce is in it and what they teach. But otherwise, yeah, it's a good thing for old people. They can do it as like kind of like more qigong energy work, and that's cool. But it does have some uses, some application.
Okay, because my main exposure to Tai Chi is seeing the old people in the parks training Tai Chi, which is very common here in Taiwan. And again, I see it's very movement based, very, very slow, and they're just taking different forms and different stretches and squats and stuff like that. And I just figured by looking at it, this doesn't seem like it's a combat martial art. And
That's why I came to Taiwan. I came to Taiwan to study Tai Chi.
really,
Yeah. Just from seeing it like in magazines and on TV, I was like, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like 100 people practicing.
It's relaxing to watch when you see someone doing it.
And actually,
doing
when
the
I
routine.
started doing it my first year in Taiwan, it taught me how to slow down and like how often I'm actually in a hurry, because it's just like the teacher would be like, do it again, slow down, do it again, slow down, do it again, slow down, but slow down with power. And it was really interesting. It helped me slow down in my daily life quite a bit.
Cool.
Quite a bit.
It's great. It is great for old people as well. And I like watching it. I enjoy watching it. So you trained Tai Chi in China. What other martial arts did you train over there?
Actually, that was it for my first year in China. I only did like 7 months of Tai Chi. And after that, I had set my eyes on Taiwan, had been there once during Chinese New Year of 2013. And I thought it was just way rad. A lot of foreigners will kick around Asia for a little bit and like stumble upon Taiwan, and they'll just be like, oh yeah. Yeah, and then
Taiwan's awesome. It's brilliant. It's really great.
Yeah, so even me, not sure, like originally I was like, well, do a year in China, see how it goes, and just move back home. And I decided to do a year back home, but I knew I was going to move to Taiwan afterwards. And then a year back home went by. I was like, it's fucking like everybody's moved on. They're doing their shit. They've got their life. And like, things are kind of bleak. I moved back to my college town, and like all the businesses were going under. I worked in a coffee shop for a short amount of time, and it's just like, this is not all life has to offer. And I know beautiful sunny Taiwan is like out there waiting for me.
Asia was calling you. It was calling you back.
Oh, the whole time. And then since being here, I've studied with a few different people. I never went deep into something else until somewhat recently. I found a teacher that the Yank and I know, who's a pretty crazy guy. So I'm enjoying that so far. And kind of.
So now you're training in, what's the martial art you're training in now?
Well, it's really funny. What they're training is pretty much mixed martial arts with a lot of traditional roots, but
MMA for any of you listeners out there.
But it's not really MMA, is it? I guess you guys do jiu-jitsu, right?
Eventually, the end goal is that you would be able to put it in the cage and have it be really good, but it's really systematically building up some basic skills in a couple different dimensions, ground fighting being one of them, upright fighting, and Wing Chun, and more particularly like sticky hands from Wing Chun. Like when you connect with someone and your arms get locked up, how do you feel? Like where are they? Where are you? And to follow them and know what's going next. So there's a couple different modalities in what we're doing, but so it's not particularly like Shaolin monkey something whatever. But we're doing some Wing Chun, some Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Right?
Well, that's his thing. But eventually maybe I'll get some monkey action. We'll see.
When you say Wing Chun, it rings a bell straight away. Wing Chun, isn't that what Bruce Lee trained in, or
And then they made a series about the Ip Man series, like Bruce Lee's teacher, right? So, I think Wing Chun is a really cool one, especially in the beginning. If anyone wanted like a beginner martial art or a beginner Chinese martial art.
Traditional Chinese martial art.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that it's Wing Chun is basic because people spend a lot of time and do a lot of development in it. But what my first martial arts teacher said in university is if you want to be able to do some Chinese martial arts quickly and have some skills that protect yourself, like Wing Chun will give that to you pretty good. Gives you good basics right off the bat, and then you're ready to roll.
Cool.
I took Taekwondo growing up, and I took that for self-defense.
Taekwondo is a legit martial art. Like
yeah.
they got some serious.
I think that was the
kicks
only
and-
one available in the Midwest where I was Taekwondo.
That was almost the situation with me too. Yeah.
Did you study it when you were a kid?
Oh yeah. I mentioned
He's
earlier.
got a
I
black
got
belt in
yeah.
Taekwondo.
I think I was writing something down. When you said
The
that.
Yank was taking a piss when I mentioned that.
Did you fight in any tournaments in Taekwondo? Did you have any any contact tournaments?
Yeah, man. So my first tournament, I think I didn't do it until I was like a deputy black belt, right before black belt.
Okay, so before black belt. How many belts are there in Taekwondo? Or,
Oh, I
you have
think
yellow stripes, right? Once you get the black belt, then you
I
start
think
getting-
different schools will do it differently, but we did it solid colors all the way up, and then right before black belt, there's like a deputy black belt that's like half black and half red. I don't get too hung up on colors. I think different schools will all do it differently, so there's probably a general scheme that's pretty similar, but they all do it different.
Yeah,
And,
they had yellow stripes at the one I went to.
Yeah, some people will be like a power bar, skill bar charging
Yeah.
up, like boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
your stripes are popping up, yeah.
So you had full contact Taekwondo tournaments.
Yeah, of course they pad up a lot for Taekwondo sparring, but it's because they're swinging wild kicks to the head, I
Yeah.
guess. And my teacher was like, all right, it's time, you got to go do it. And I didn't know what sparring would be like at all, because I guess we sparred at my school, but some of these kids were wild. There's some Korean kids at this first tournament, and I was like, okay, just go fight them like you did before with your friends.
Yeah.
And then right off the bat, like the ref like swings his hand down, he blows a whistle, whatever the starting cue was, and the first thing this Korean kid does is like, it was like blood curdling scream. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then he just proceeded to kick the shit out of me.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. And I got hit in the gut really hard. I got the wind knocked out of me. And I was just like, and then I looked up at my teacher and like I had pain on my face, and he was just like looking at me, like shaking his head.
That's some Karate Kid shit right there.
And afterwards, he's like, "Oh, Ned, young boy, you." He's like, "No pain, you hit, no pain." Like,
Whoa.
Yeah. So he was disappointed about that, but I think it was a good point.
So you didn't know what to expect. The guy,
No, I didn't know what to expect. No, not really.
Man, that's okay. I don't like that way of sparring or fighting. It's
Yeah.
like, I boxed in the amateur boxing, right? And when we would spar, you know what to expect. You go easy, you go 60%, 30%, 40%, whatever at that. You go to another gym, it's a fight. You go to another gym. We used to go to the gym. You go in there and you're going to fight 4 guys in their fucking gym. You know what I mean?
Right. I think there's something to be said about training hard, but if you get a good group of guys that you can build some trust with and fight at a reasonable level, like that allows you to train longer and more safely and not constantly
Before
have
you're
injuries
ready,
and be out.
you don't just jump into a swimming pool without learning how to swim first, do you? So it's the same way with a lot of these martial arts and boxing.
You do that for me with boxing too. You're like, if you keep doing that, this is what your opponent's gonna do.
Yeah.
And if I start keeping my hand down, you start slapping me in the fucking face.
There you go, just to let you know.
Just to let me know, like, this is how it's gonna be in a real fight.
Yeah, there you go. With sparring, you've sparred. Everybody in this room is sparred, right? We've all sparred. We've all been in there. We know what it feels like.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. When you're learning, especially anything in martial art or boxing, and you go to a gym, you trust that coach. That he's got your well-being in mind. Your
That's a
well-being.
hard thing to find, though.
It can be. This
Me
gym.
saying that, thank you, but
This-
like that's a hard thing to find a coach you can trust or respect.
I boxed in Canada. My brother boxed in Ireland. I boxed in Canada. He eventually came to Canada and boxed as well. But in our gym, our coach was very conscious of that, of not just throwing you into sparring, getting your ass beat straight away, and then you never want to box again. You hate boxing
Right.
because you connect boxing with just getting your ass beat straight away in sparring. So he would
Bad for
take it
business.
very easy. He would make sure everything was right. He would stop the sparring. He would just make sure the shit was good. When we went to other boxing gyms around the area, like to spar, we would watch their guys sparring first, and they would just be beating the shit out of each other. Just beating the shit out of each other. And their coach, and this is no joke, their coach came over to say hello to me because I was Irish, and he obviously had some Irish ancestors, and his breath was stinking of drink.
No shit.
He was stinking of alcohol.
Like in the
And his
morning?
2 boys. Oh, this was evening time.
Evening.
And his 2 guys were in the ring sparring. Not even sparring. They were beating the piss out of each other. Blood
shit.
pouring out their noses. And they didn't look that technical. And I was like, this is a bit mental.
Oh, man.
And he's like, oh, they're really going for it, aren't they? They're really going at it. My coach just gave me a look and a nod. And I was like, okay, I understand. When I come down here, I got to fight. When I come down here, I got to fucking fight. Like, these guys were tough. They were very tough, but they weren't as skilled.
Not technical, but they could take pain,
Yeah, they
right?
weren't as technical as us because our coach was very, very strict on technique and everything, and making sure you were slick and don't get hit and hit. So, anyways, not to be rambling, Ned, back to yourself. So that was your first experience of sparring.
Fuck that.
Wasn't
I'm
a good
rambling
one.
a little bit more.
No, go for it, man.
Chuck, right?
Chuck Wepner?
Yeah, Chuck Wepner. Like that was
the
his,
Bayonne Bleeder, was it?
Yeah, that was his trick, right? He just knew how to fucking take hits.
Like Nate Diaz.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Nate Diaz is a technically okay boxer. I don't think he's that great. He's okay. His jiu-jitsu is great. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but
He beat McGregor, right?
Yeah, he choked McGregor out in their first fight.
Yeah.
He was getting the head
Was he
bet
the
off.
first one to beat McGregor?
He was the first guy to beat McGregor in the UFC.
Okay.
He was getting the shit beat out of him. He was getting the head tore off him by McGregor in the first round. But his cardio is so great and he's so tough that it's like
No, just wait
you're gonna
guy.
wear yourself out and then I'm gonna lay it on you. And that's exactly what happened. And he's done that in a lot of fights. He's got such great cardio and he can take so much punishment. I mean, I don't know how that's gonna go for his brain in the years to come, but
Probably not well.
he's class. Nate Diaz, Nick Diaz, OG's unreal.
Yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow.
I think there's something to be said for leaving some in the tank a little bit and like knowing when you're gonna need the energy, whatever the sport is actually too, like lifting, right, we're warming up. You don't want to burn yourself out right away,
That's it. And boxing and these things, they're not a tough man's sport. As many people have said before, you got to be smart. You don't want to go in there and just take a load of punishment. You got to be crafty. Hit and don't get hit.
You can't be emotional either, and that was my biggest thing when I started boxing with you.
Yeah.
Every
You
time I got hit,
Pisces.
well, actually, even still,
Yeah.
I would get emotional,
Yeah.
right? And that was awesome because I learned that I had this toxic relationship with violence, and I learned that in about the first month training with you, like how aggressively I reacted every time I got hit.
Well, the cool thing about physical training sometimes too is that with something like that, it's people won't understand. It's spiritual, man. There's an emotional detox, something about doing something that hurts and working through it, and especially if you have emotions connected with being hit, eventually it takes some time to be like, wait a second, this doesn't mean I've done something wrong, or this doesn't mean I'm going to die.
Yep.
In fact, I can get hit and I feel the sensation, but like it takes a long time to break that emotional
For sure.
content out. It's almost like an emotional detox, and I think it's really cool
Yeah,
and
I would say
healthy.
so.
And I don't think it's like you can train it. You could be a shithead and get drunk and have your boys beat each other up, or you could build it up properly and really get a lot from it. Like you said, it's not just being a tough man. It's also thinking about some strategy, and I think that's why it's such a manly but gentlemanly thing to do, to fight and fight properly.
Yeah,
It's more about
very
being
true.
a patient man than a tough man.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. And
Yeah.
they say even boxing is like chess. You have to outthink your opponent.
Mm.
Which I love that aspect of it. That was one of the most exciting aspects of it. Is I'm
You're
in
gonna
here
read
and
and
I'm
you're gonna
controlling
counter,
this
right?
guy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna control this guy.
Like
He's
with your
coming at
lead
me
foot.
with energy and aggression and all that other kind of stuff, and I'm gonna use that again. I'm gonna try and control this guy. And I'm gonna take away what he thinks are his assets, and I'm gonna start popping him with a good clean jab down the middle. I see him breaking.
God
I
damn,
can
I
see
wanna
in his-
fucking fight
I can
again. I haven't
see.
sparred
I
in
can see him break.
forever.
This is no joke. My first boxing fight was extremely difficult and extremely tough. The guy was weighed. I'd say
This
he
when you
weighed
got
6.
knocked out of the ring? Or you tripped out of the ring?
That was to do with a popped knee bone. But anyways,
Yeah.
we'll go tell that story another day. My first fight, the guy came in about 6 kg overweight, but it was because it was a club show. He was a local fighter. He came in 6 fucking kg overweight. I done everything I could to get down to my weight. I ate a Snickers bar that whole day. We drove in a blizzard to the fight. I was pissed off with the fucking doctors, the officials, everything. There was a lot of rigmarole around me fighting. Put it that way. I had to shave my little tash and jib off my face. It was like
Tash and jib.
there was a lot of shit going on, and it was like they took my blood pressure. And they're like, "Relax, you're very, very, you relax your blood pressure." And I was like, "You guys are fucking making me. You're pissing me off." You know what I mean? Shave your beard. Where's your picture on your boxing book? Little Timmy over here. He's the guy you're fighting. We know him. He's a good kid. He's a local guy. All you officials know the guy I'm fighting. What the fuck? He stands at the door and he's like fucking almost 6 foot, and he's like, I'm like, that guy? You kidding me? There's no fucking way he weighs 60 fucking kilos. So that fight was extremely, extremely difficult. I had to dig. There was a moment towards the end of that fight where I was standing in the ring trading with this guy. I was hitting him to the body with everything. I heard him. I beat the shit out of him, really. I tried to box him at first because he was so tall. I couldn't box him slick. He was just catching me on the end of everything. My coach was like, fuck boxing. Just go after this fucking guy. Just go after him. Fuck boxing. Because he knew I couldn't box the guy. It was just too much. And so I just started backing him up and hitting him with huge shots. And I could see him. But he was a hockey player. He was fucking Canadian. He was a hockey player. This guy was tough as hell. And there was a moment towards the end of the fight where I was hitting him in the body. We were both in the center of the ring. And he just wouldn't go down. And I was like, I'm going to drop dead in a second. Like, I'm going to drop dead. I have not, like, this is, I was talking to myself in my head. I remember, and it's like, I'm so exhausted. So anybody that gives anybody like McGregor or anybody shit for being exhausted in a fight and going, oh, You get in there, fight somebody, and then get to that level of exhaustion that he was at and that I was at my first fight, and I still have a guy coming at you and see how well you do. It's a horrible, horrible experience. They say they're going to bring you out into deep water and they're going to see how well you swim when you're tired in deep water. Imagine that. And that's exactly what it was like in my first fight. After that, it was all gravy.
Like Hell Week.
Yeah.
How good can you perform in the face of total fucking destruction?
That's it. So that's
An inauguration, yeah.
there was that part of it, and then there was also the chess part of it. So after that fight, I learned a lot, and I was like, man, this is not a tough man sport. I don't want to do that again. I don't want to do that again. That was my first fight. I was like driving back, and I was like, I don't want to do that again. I'm crazy. What the hell was that? And then I thought about some stuff, and I was like, okay, I need to approach this from a more strategical point of view and be more slick. And I dedicated myself to that. And then every fight after that was easy.
The reason I wanted to box initially was I wanted to get beat up. I wanted, like, when I was in Vietnam going through hell, like essentially revelations from the Bible, I started watching the movie Southpaw, like, religiously. And
That's the one
watching
with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, and watching him, like, endure massive amounts of pain gave me so much gratification. Because I was, like, dealing with, like, this depression, homesickness, like, I hate Vietnam, I don't want to be here. And watching Southpaw, it just gave me so much release. And then when I was with Ninja Ned hiking about 1 year ago, we were getting spiritual, and we'd climbed a mountain so high, we were walking into the clouds. We were walking through the clouds, spiritual, having fun. And I was like, I think I want to fight. Because I'd been watching this TV show Kingdom with Frank Grillo. Obsessed.
Frank Grillo was great. I like Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo is very great. And then Ninja Ned said, I know an Irish boxing coach. And our other friend said, I know a French kung fu teacher. And Ned's like, I'm interested. I'm like, I'm interested. And now he's been studying martial arts for about a year, maybe more.
Yeah, and actually, right about a year.
And you hooked me up with Paddy here.
It was, I don't even know how to say it. It was a pivotal moment in time. We were camping. It was a wonderful trip. We were all laughing, having such fun. I think we actually figured that out on the bus ride up to the mountain town. I think we were discussing all the things we were into, what we wanted to do. And you're like, oh, I'd like to do boxing. And I was like, I think I know someone. I was like, yeah, I want to do martial arts too. And our friend was like, well, why don't you train with my current teacher? And originally, when this all kicked off, we had gone and seen that teacher a few times originally.
You and the Yank.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for clarifying. People can't see my fingers. Yeah. For those who can't see, I was finger wagging in the Yank's direction, him and I, on this camping trip. Yeah. No, it was a pivotal moment. We both figured out that we wanted to do some fighting arts, and it was like a chapter. It was really cool.
It was. It led me in a whole new direction in my life. And in the beginning, I was so obsessed day and night. And if I wasn't boxing, I was watching boxing. I was studying boxing. I was breathing boxing. And then I broke my ribs on Halloween, being a jackass.
Yep.
And then I haven't got back to it 100% since. Still enjoy it, but now it's like the podcast, transcribing a book, writing another book, meditating, just doing so much. I still love it 110%.
That's a great origin story, too. That's the origin story of Paddy and The Yank right there. You heard it here first,
yeah,
ladies and
that's how we met. We met through...
That's how we met. We met through Ninja Ned.
Yeah.
We met through Ninja Ned.
We met in... Yeah, I don't even know. Like, in the clouds as a result of psychedelics and good-hearted men. Not that I have anything against women, but there were only men there.
And that's a very good point, too. It's like boxing and martial arts and any of these kind of trainings, they can give you a lot. They can do a lot for people. I think...
like he was saying about the violence earlier, like, that's what happened to me. I got desensitized and learned, like, I don't need to be so angry or reactive when I get hit. It's a training. It's a mental training. You can release
that anger and stress, too, from punching a heavy bag, from
How many times you seen me in the park crying, waiting for you, or, like, angry, and then after we hit pads for an hour, I always felt, like, 100% better.
I see it with a lot of different students, too. They might come to train with me after they finished a long day at work, and they're stressed out, and they just... I can feel it off them, and then once we start loosening up and warming up, and they start hitting pads, I can just see them change.
Oh,
you know
dude,
I mean?
It's like Prozac, man. Yeah. Boxing's like Prozac.
Yeah. So never mind your antidepressant pills. Get out there and do some exercise, do some training.
100%.
Join a boxing gym, do martial. And you don't have to train to fight.
I think any kind of physical training that's rigorous like that, I would encourage anyone to do, if it's within reason for their health level or whatever. But the tricky thing is, so many people, they get caught up in their own bullshit emotional story, and you just feel glommed down. And for a lot of people to make an initial step and try and break out of that just doesn't seem possible. But I think we could all probably say anytime you've been like had an excuse like, I really don't feel like working out or doing a session right now. It's like, well, I know it's what I like to do, and I'd be stupid not to do it. And then you do it, and at the end you're just like, fuck yeah.
That's called grit, man.
Yeah, it needed to happen, but like, there's no question afterwards. Like, oh, I needed to train. Like I feel good now.
Grit is the ability to do something when you don't feel like doing it. I'm listening to this great audiobook, The Art of Impossible, where he quotes Angela Duckworth and grit.
Yeah.
And just how important that is to peak performance. Just doing something even when you don't feel like doing it, when you don't have the energy, when you don't have the drive, the dopamine, right? But you do it anyway. And then you get dopamine you weren't expecting because, you already know.
And there's no negative side effects of doing exercise.
Well, overtraining like Goggins, maybe.
You can't get weaker from training. You can't get weaker from exercising. Like, there's a good quote. I'm raping this quote right now, but there's a very good quote about that. I just destroyed it. I'm gonna cut it out.
Yeah. I mean,
what's the quote? Do you guys know the quote?
Quote.
I have no idea. You said something. You said something to me interesting yesterday, though. You're like, how old are you? I'm like 36. And you're like, right. And you plan to be stronger at 40, right? And I was like,
yeah, that's right.
Well, actually, I didn't know that until you said that. But it's more like you're putting thoughts into my mind now that I think about it. That's the same thing Hitler did.
I'm starting to see the connection.
I said to you you bring Hitler up a lot in this damn podcast too, which I like every so often. He's just like, I know he's going to mention Hitler. But what I said to you at the start was,
I had a feeling. Oh, it always goes back to Hitler with these guys.
What I said to you was that most people, they look back. When they get a bit older, they look back on their younger self and they go, oh, I was so fit back then and I was in such good shape. They always reminisce on that, where I always think about looking to the future, about I'm going to be fitter tomorrow than I am today. I'm going to be fitter in a year's time.
What did Matthew McConaughey say?
I have no idea. All right.
You read his book, Green Lights.
I know, I
forgot
what he said, though.
I'm like 75% of the
way
way
through.
It's
a good book, though.
In that book, somebody asks him, who's your hero? And he said, my hero is me 10 years from today.
That's great.
Because I'm always looking forward.
That's very good.
What a cocky son of a gun.
That too.
Yeah, that's a crazy way to think about it. Could I actually be better at 56 than I am at 46?
100%.
What I like to
I'm
think
not 46. How the fuck did I just fuck that up so bad? Even better. Could I be better at 56
You're
than
looking
36?
good for 56, bro.
Yeah, you know.
You lift, bro?
I do.
56, bro?
You want to know? If you want to know my
Grandpa,
secret, I'll tell you my secret. I didn't really want to spill the beans, but I do shit plunges. But it has to be grass-fed cow shit.
Like an ice bath, but a shit bath.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and I do the Wim Hof breathing in the shit.
Yeah, I heard Jean-Claude Van Damme used to do that back in the 80s, but I heard it was just a rumor.
Yeah, I heard Clint Eastwood did it as well. That's how he stays.
I could 100% see Clint Eastwood sitting in a bathtub of cow shit on a ranch somewhere, just going, this makes me strong.
With one of those tiny cigars.
Yeah.
This is the shit I do in the West.
What are you looking at, boy?
Yeah, I don't even think I have a Clint Eastwood impersonation, but it's like, just throw some grit on it.
Gran Torino is probably one of my favorite movies of all time.
Gran Torino's a good movie.
That is such
I wouldn't
good
put it in my
movie.
top 10 of all time, but it's a damn good movie.
You wouldn't? Top 10?
No, top 10,
Really?
no way.
Huh.
There's too many good movies out there to come before.
Southpaw would be in my top 10. Maybe
Southpaw
number 1.
wouldn't even be my top
Maybe
100.
number 1. Yeah, your movie
But
taste
we
sucks.
differ in movies.
Yeah.
We differ in movies. I like Tarantino, Guy Ritchie,
I like
Scorsese.
Tarantino. I like Guy Ritchie. I like Snatch. Hey, stop pushing me out. It's cold outside.
Baby, it's cold outside.
I'm sitting here thinking these boys watch movies, fucking losers.
I know. Actually, I could feel your judgment. I was thinking like Ned doesn't even have a TV, man. He's like so beyond what a normal person is. You know,
No, we actually have a TV
They got a
now.
TV
Ned's
now.
very.
Yank, they got a TV.
Oh.
When
But
I first met Ned, he didn't have a sofa. He didn't have a TV. He had nothing, just like a table in
He's
the
a
middle of the room,
Zen
like
monk.
a wooden
He's
table.
like a Zen monk.
And would sit there cross-legged, which I thought, this is very interesting.
Yeah, it's a single nimbus cloud floating in my living room that I would sit on. It was comfortable, you know.
All right, you know what? Let's wrap that episode up here. We got a little bit of the origin stories of where Paddy and the Yank met.
Yeah, Paddy and the Yank is all a result of Ninja Ned. That's
Yeah.
I never even thought about that.
There we go.
So
He's like
meaningful for me to be here.
From Ninja Turtles. What was the rat's name?
Splinter.
Splinter,
You are
yeah.
Splinter. And I'm Raphael.
I'm
I'm angry
Splinter.
and emotional.
I feel that. I'll take that and cherish that.
But you're a dragon, not a rat.
You're the dragon. Everybody, that was Ninja Ned, and thanks very much, Ned, for coming down today. We'd love to get you in here again for another podcast. That was very interesting hearing you talk about your journey to Asia, what brought you back to Asia, your history of martial arts, a black belt in Taekwondo, 12 years old?
16.
16 years old, and then
Holy
your
guacamole.
continued journey to this day of still training in martial arts and learning and strength training. As everybody knows from the Instagram, Ned is a beast.
Yeah.
He's like a bodybuilding
Zen monk.
fucking
But there's so much
master.
more. There's so much more we're not even mentioning. Musician,
I'm just a weirdo, but here's the thing. You guys get into weird adventures, and that's why we fucking roll. So some of the best parts about it is just spending some time with you guys
We
and
appreciate
doing the
that.
zany things I do and joining them.
That's
That's
great.
awesome. That's awesome.
And you know what?
So listeners,
Fist
go
bumps
out there
going
and
around
find
here.
somebody you love and spend some time with them today. All right?
We will have you on the podcast again very soon because it's been a great
Are you
chat. We've
talking
got
to the
so much more to
listeners?
talk to you
We
about.
can't have the listeners on the podcast.
I love it. Oh, no,
Wait,
we can
Ninja
shove them
Ned's
in
a
here.
listener.
You know what? We will finish today's show with a tune from none other than Ninja Ned. All right, take it easy, everybody. Follow the Instagram, Paddy the Yank _podcast on Instagram. Follow the Facebook, Paddy the Yank. Leave us some reviews. Give us some feedback. Let's go. This is Ninja Ned.
And
Peace.
go find someone you love and give them a hug.